Class is now in session. I'm Professor Hockey, and today we'll be discussing another piece of Sharks news. Today is, of course, the date of the trade deadline, and while it hasn't yet passed completely, the Sharks have already made one deal. We'll see if they make more later on today, but for now, Patrick Marleau has been traded to the Pittsburgh Penguins in exchange for a third-round pick that has the condition that if the Penguins are to win the Stanley Cup, it upgrades to a second-round pick, and this is a pretty big win for Doug Wilson. You take a look at Marleau's performance this season, it has been pretty good. Certainly, he has had that similar Marleau situation where in a 5-game stretch, he might score something like 7 points with 5 goals and look like a very good player, but then all of a sudden he'll go 15 games in a row without a single goal at all. And, it's that Marleau inconsistency, but the fact of the matter is that the Sharks came into this season, they signed Patrick Marleau about 3 or 4 games into the year for a league minimum deal, and then managed to flip him at the deadline for a third-round pick that has as good a chance of any at becoming a second-round pick. I mean, just take a look at a trade like the Ilya Kovalchuk one just yesterday. The Canadians only ended up getting a third-round pick in exchange for Kovalchuk without a condition. So the fact that Marleau has even the possibility of getting a second is a big win for Doug Wilson, which is nice to see after the bit of a disaster that the Erik Karlsson trade of last season has become. And the fact of the matter is that what this trade ends up being is basically saying, okay, Marleau, you don't have to stay with the Sharks for the next 20 games when the Sharks are clearly not making the playoffs. Go out and try and win a Stanley Cup with the Pittsburgh Penguins, and we'll likely see you back here in a few months. If Marleau does want to come back to try and break that all-time games played record held by Gordie Howe, I'm sure the Sharks would welcome him back with open arms, especially if he actually does pretty well with the Penguins, because he has been decent for the Sharks this season. As I said, the Marleau inconsistencies are there, but averaged out over the full year, he's been an okay third-line forward on a decently deep team, and I assume that's the role he'll likely play with the Penguins. So a very good trade for the Sharks to make. It's not super sad to see Marleau leave either, because he already did sort of leave a couple years back to the Leafs, so it's nothing new that we're experiencing here. So I can't really see any negatives for this trade, if I'm being honest. Class dismissed.